Well, hello again, BookTube. I'm back to talk to you today about another short story that I read for Short Story Summer. That is the BookTube event created by Randy Ray, the literate Texan, where you are encouraged to read short stories for the whole month of August. And I read a short story from Nathaniel Hawthorne. Um, the short story is called Rappaccini's Daughter, and it is from this collection of short stories called Mosses from an Old Manse. Um, I have uh, no experience actually reading Nathaniel Hawthorne. I have several copies of his books. I have The Marble Fawn, The Scarlet Letter, and The House of the Seven Gables, but I never read any of his never read any of the books. I tried a couple times to read The Scarlet Letter when I was in high school, not as part of an assignment, just to read it. But I knew that in high school I was not in the right place to be reading it, and I was probably wasn't smart enough to be reading Hawthorne, and his style of writing is very, uh, for lack of a better word, old timey, and not that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just that the way that he writes, his style of writing is not. Is, we're just not used to it anymore. At least I'm not used to it. And but anyway, so this is a short story collection called Mosses from an Old Manse, and it's a collection of a lot of his short stories that are more gothic or sort of like Victorian in nature and more like supernatural style stories. And the story I read from this was Rappaccini's Daughter, and this is the old Project Gutenberg link, the copy that I downloaded from there. I'm still learning how to use the fancy technology of this Kindle. I just got a case for it, a little leather case with like a strap that you can use for like if you just want to hold it. If you want to like put your fingers interlaced to give it a better feel while you're reading. But yeah, so Rappaccini's Daughter, again by Hawthorne. It was written about. It's set in Italy, and I believe the village of Padua. I the 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 geography is really sort of lost on me when it comes to that. Hawthorne seems to have set a lot of his stories in the more Italian region area, and it's about a so Rappaccini's Daughter is about a young man uh, who comes to live on somebody's farm, and behind the sort of uh, mansion that he's living in, he notices this weird old guy in a big area full of flowers and shrubs and just greenery in general. And the guy is sort of testing all of these flowers, looking at all this vegetation, but he's not touching any of it, and he's just sort of watching it. Sort of, I think in the story it says that he's watching it like he's watching a dangerous snake behind a display case. And so this guy Giovanni, he a younger guy, he's sitting there thinking, well, that's kind of odd. And then he looks off in the distance in the vegetation, and he sees a beautiful young woman. And then that sort of that does it for him. He looks at her and he says, "Oh, I want to know her. I want to meet her." And so the woman is the daughter of this weird old guy. Rappaccini's daughter. The older guy, he's a doctor in the area, Doctor Rappaccini, and he's sort of famous and infamous in that sort of region of Italy for his very unconventional uh, ways of practicing medicine. He grows all of these dangerous flowers and these dangerous shrubs in this sort of area. That's what his whole garden is. That's what he's walking through and looking around in. And all of those flowers are really poisonous and toxic. And he has developed all these really weird potions to. He's basically a doctor that's gone insane, and so he has a daughter named Beatrice, and Beatrice was raised in the garden with all the flowers, and so Beatrice herself is really is medically toxic, and so there are scenes in this where uh, she's walking around in the garden, and she sees like a nice bird or an insect go, like a butterfly go to land on her hand, and as soon as it lands on her hand, or as soon as she breathes on it, it falls to the ground and dies. So, and she's been raised away from society, away from all other areas of Italy, and because she has become immune to all of these flowers, all these toxic, dangerous flowers. But because she's become immune to it, she's also become really dangerous for anybody that comes into contact with her. Uh, and so Giovanni, but he doesn't know any of this yet. And so he's sitting there, he's watching her, and he's, you know, typical young Italian guy. He's got to go meet the girl, and he so he so he figures out a way to go meet her, and then he realizes later on that, oh crap, he himself has become toxic, in that, like, whenever Beatrice touches his hand, he has this big purple mark that he wakes up with on his hand, and so he finds out that he himself has basically turned into her. He's become toxic, and he can't be around anybody because he can end up killing them. And that's sort of the extent of what I will talk about if you haven't read the story yet. It was really good. It's my first time reading Hawthorne, and I really liked it a lot. This, like I said, his style of writing, it was definitely an uphill battle for me because I'm just not used to that style of writing. But I will definitely continue to read more of Hawthorne. I was going to try and read The Scarlet Letter first whenever I eventually get into Hawthorne, but I thought, well, this collection of short stories, because they all have that sort of gothic supernatural style to them, at least based on the little Wikipedia article that I read about this short story collection. And so I thought, well, this is probably a good place to start, at least for me. I grew up reading horror stories and horror in general, and so I thought, well, this will probably be a good place to start for me. Then I can move on to his novels. But yeah, it is very good. If you haven't read the story, you really ought to. And so, uh, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say about this. So I'll definitely be moving on to Hawthorne, more of his stories. So I might do another video on one of the other stories. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Wanted to do a quick video on this. So hopefully you enjoyed it.